item is going to be the reading of and voting on of legislation. And then we hopefully will have the mics up for citizens' comments so people can hear whoever's in-house online. So with that being said, Vice President Perkins, could you do the invocation, please?
Good evening, everyone. Father, I just thank you for your faithfulness and for your protection. I know that you are sovereign God and you are wise and you are Prince of Peace. And I thank you for the opportunity to meet, to do the business of the city for this evening. And we thank you for unity and for truth. And Father God, I invite you into this meeting to assist us and to bless us with wise counsel. And Father, I just pull down every stronghold, every vain imagination, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of you. And Father God, I just thank you. I call it into captivity in the name of Jesus to be obedient to Christ Jesus. And Father, I ask that you would help us to align ourselves with you in all that we do. Bless the city, bless the residents, employees, and the city, everyone that's affiliated with the city. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen and amen.
Now, I will do the call. Councilwoman Fareed.
Here.
Councilwoman Jones.
Here.
Councilwoman Guillaume is running late. Councilmember Herring.
Here.
Councilmember Harrison. Vice President Ferguson.
Here.
And Vice President Curtis is here. Mike is open.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Councilman Fareed, can you hear me?
Mic is working.
I'm sorry. Wait 1 second. Councilman Fareed, can you hear me?
Barely, but yes.
I hear you well.
All right. The those online to be on the TV down here so we can see, because we can't see currently. All right, with that, we have a quorum. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
All right, well, I think Jones motioned. Is there a second? I'll second. Any discussion? Just 1 second. Mr. Gray, we can't hear anybody online. The only way I can tell Ms. Jones' motion is that she opened her mic. Go ahead.
22/20/25 Department Policy Manual. That's the attachment is of about 500 pages. I have not gone through it, so I would ask that if we table it, because I don't know whether everyone was able to go through the 500-page attachment, and maybe we also might need to get a brief on what it actually is talking about.
Okay, Vice President Ferguson wants to table R-22-2025 due to it being over 500 pages and she hasn't been able to go through it yet. Is there a second?
Second on that.
Any discussion? Any opposition? All right, that is. Mr. Simpson, can you hand me that remote control, please? Any other discussion for the agenda? Thank you. Any opposition to accepting the amended agenda? Hearing none by unanimous consent, the amended agenda is hereby accepted to table R-22-2025. With that being said, first on the agenda are the minutes for September. As you guys recall, we were late getting the September minutes in, but they're here now. We're voting on them. So is there a motion to adopt the minutes from the minutes from September meetings? Moved by Vice President Ferguson. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none by unanimous consent, the September meeting minutes are hereby adopted. Okay. All right. Next is legislation. First up is Ordinance O-02-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 149, Vehicles and Traffic. Madam Clerk.
Okay. Whereas the City of Glenarden, Maryland, hereinafter the city, is a municipality organized under the authority of Article 9E of the Maryland Constitution and as defined by the Maryland Code, Local Government Article Section 1-101G, and whereas pursuant to Maryland Code, Local Government Article Section 5-202, the city may adopt ordinances to, number 1, assure the good government of the municipality, and 2, protect and preserve the municipality's right, property, and privileges, and whereas pursuant to Charter Section 602-47 of the Charter, the City Council of Glenarden, hereinafter the Council, has the express power to adopt by ordinance and enforce within the corporate limits police, health, sanitary, fire, building, plumbing, traffic, speed, parking, and other similar regulations. And whereas Chapter 149 of the City Code needs to be amended to address commercial parking concerns, and now therefore be it resolved and ordained by the City Council of Glenarden, Maryland, that Chapter 149, Section 40, Schedule X, vehicle weight limits of the Glenarden Code be, and it is hereby repealed and then reenacted as follows. Chapter 149, Section 40, Schedule vehicle weight limits. In accordance with the provisions of Section 149-14, gross weight limits are hereby established as indicated for commercial vehicles or other tractor-trailer or tractor-trailer combinations upon the streets, bridges, or portions thereof described below, except for the purpose of making local deliveries on said streets, bridges, or portions thereof. All streets within the city corporate limits. The max gross weight is 6,000 pounds. A, exception, any vehicle under the 6,000 pound weight limit that is registered with a business and has a permanent commercial logo is prohibited from parking upon the streets and bridges within the city corporate limits. Be it further ordained and enacted by the Council of the City of Glenarden, Maryland, that Chapter 149, Section 18, parking prohibited at all times of the Glenarden Code be, and it is hereby repealed and reenacted as follows. Chapter 149, Section 18, parking prohibited at all times. No person shall park a vehicle at any time upon any of the streets or parts thereof described in Schedule 13 Section 149-43, attached to and made part of this chapter. No person shall park any tractor, trailer, or tractor-trailer combination upon any public or residential property except for the purpose of making local deliveries to said property. Now therefore be enacted and ordained by the City Council of Glen Arden, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 18th day of November 2024, that this ordinance is and shall become effective 20 days following approval by the mayor or passage by the council over the mayor's veto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Maharon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hairston. Any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to, Council President, I wanted to ask Code Enforcement Mr. Green if the max gross weight was accurate. Because he went over it with you, right, Councilman Maharon?
Yes.
Mr. Green, the question, did you hear the question?
So I wanted to ask you if the max gross weight, because I know that they was having issues going back and forth about what the weight would be. So I know you worked on it with Councilman Harris, so I just wanted to make sure that the max gross weight that you had in here being 6,000 is something that you agreed with.
Good afternoon, everyone. Most recently, Prince George's County DPI, which is the Department of Permitting, Inspections, Enforcement, recently put out a new law regarding zoning of commercial vehicles, and their max weight is 8,500 pounds. So anything over 8,500 pounds will be in conflict with Prince George's County zoning laws. I'm sorry, did I answer your question, Councilman Harrison?
Yes, thank you.
May I follow?
Sure. Councilman Maharon?
Anything under 8,500 will be within the law.
That is correct.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I answered my own question in my head. Thank you. All right. Councilman Harrison, is that all?
That's all, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All right. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, let's go to a voice vote, please.
Councilwoman Fareed?
No.
Okay. Councilman Hairston?
Pass.
Councilman Herring?
Pass.
Councilwoman Jones?
No.
Vice President Ferguson?
No.
President Curtis?
No.
Councilman Harris did it again because he passed. You have to come back to Councilman Harris.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Once he passed, you have to call his name again.
Okay, Councilman, thank you, Councilman Hairston.
Abstain.
Abstain, okay.
Then me, because I passed.
Okay, Councilman Herring?
I'm going to vote no on it so I can bring it back. I do support this legislation because I'm bringing it, but it's going to need to come back because what's being presented later is actually in violation of state law, county law. So I'm going to vote no on this so I can bring it back. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Excuse me, Council President.
Oh, Councilwoman Guillaume. Yes. Sorry, I didn't know you joined. Councilwoman Guillaume is. I did inform everybody that she was coming, but she was going to be a little bit late. But she has joined now. So if you could get her vote.
All right, Councilwoman Guillaume?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. And I literally just got on like while we were wrapping up the intros and stuff. The votes. Wait.
All right. Next up is. I'm sorry if I have these mixed up. Is ordinance 0-03-2025. An ordinance amending subsection 149-221, commercial vehicle parking restrictions. Madam Clerk.
Whereas the City of Glenarden is a municipal corporation of the State of Maryland and operating under Article 11-E of the Constitution of Maryland and Section 5-202 of the Annotated Code of Maryland as amended, and whereas Article 7, Section 149-14 entitled Parking Regulations providing for restriction on parking commercial vehicles upon residential property, and whereas the City of Glenarden Codes, Chapter 149, Vehicle and Traffic, is intended to give provisions that are in addition and supplementary to the provisions of Maryland Vehicle Law, Titles 11 through 27 of the Transportation Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, as amended, and in accordance with the authority specifically granted by such law, and whereas under general provisions of Chapter 149, Section 149-4, Violations and Penalties, the Glenarden Code states violation of any provision of this chapter or any supplement thereto shall be deemed a municipal infraction and shall be punishable as provided in Section 1-20B of this code. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of Glenarden, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 18th day of November 2024, that number 1, Article 3, Chapter 149-22.1, Commercial Vehicle Parking Restriction be and is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 149-22.1, Commercial Equipment Parking Restrictions. A, no person shall park any commercial equipment or other tractor, trailer, or tractor-trailer combination upon any public or residential property except for the purpose of making local deliveries to said property. B, no person shall park any commercial equipment or other tractor, trailer, or tractor-trailer combination having a gross weight in excess of 1.5 tons upon any commercial property unless the vehicle is registered in the name of the property owner and used in the identified business of the property owner. C, violation of any provision of said article shall be cited as a municipal infraction, subject to a fine of $200 payable to the municipality by the person charged in the citation within 20 calendar days of the summons. Be it further resolved and ordained by the City Council of Glenarden, Maryland, that this ordinance is and shall become effective 20 days following approval by the mayor or passage by the council over the mayor's veto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to bring this ordinance to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Herring. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hairston. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fareed?
Pass.
Councilwoman Guillaume?
Pass.
Councilman Hairston?
Pass.
Okay. Councilman Herring?
Pass.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones?
Excuse me, no.
Vice President Ferguson?
Abstain.
And Council President Curtis?
Abstain.
Okay. So Councilwoman Fareed?
Abstain.
Okay. Councilwoman Guillaume?
Abstain.
Councilman Hairston?
Abstain.
Councilman Herring?
No, I vote no, because I need to bring it back. Again, I think this is a good piece of legislation that needs to be put forth to protect the property values of our citizens.
All right, this ordinance fails. Next one is ordinance O-04-2025. in order to regulate the parking of work vehicles and prohibit the parking of commercial vehicles in residential and public areas to support community business growth. While preserving traffic flow and neighborhood quality of life. This is the first reading, so it's not eligible to be voted on this at this meeting. And so we'll bring it back at the next regular hearing for official vote. All right. I encourage citizens to go out there, get a copy, read it, become familiar with it. You have another opportunity to speak on it at our next public hearing, and then we'll go on to vote on it at our next regular session. All right. Next is R-20-2025, a resolution authorizing the server migration to a cloud-based system, Microsoft 365 SharePoint by Technical Specialties, Inc. Madam Clerk.
Whereas the City of Glenarden needs to replace its current network server and migrate data to Microsoft 365 SharePoint immediately to avoid loss of data in Active Directory to a cloud-based system, and whereas the following scope of work is needed to be complete: pre-migration preparations, migration of data to SharePoint, joining of all users to Entra ID for Active Directory services, working with end users post-migration to confirm all users have the necessary access and work out any residual issues, configuration of backups for Microsoft 365 environment. Whereas T-Spec submitted a proposal for the sum of $26,914. A copy of the proposal is attached as Exhibit A, and whereas the council has determined that an emergency exists which authorizes an override of the bid process, Section 826 of the City Charter. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Glenarden, sitting in regular session this 18th day of November, has determined that number one, the emergency server data migration to a cloud-based system, SharePoint, and backup to Microsoft 365 not exceed the cost of $26,914. Number two, funding will come from the Capital Project Fund Capital Outlay Software account line item 7634308010. 3, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Hairston. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Herring. Any discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none by unanimous consent, R-20-2025 is hereby adopted. Next up is R-21-2025, a resolution to extend a contract with R.H. Hilarios Landscaping, Inc. for snow and ice control. Madam Clerk.
Whereas in 2022, the City of Glenarden, Maryland, the city engaged in a competitive bidding process for snow and ice removal and ice control services, and whereas the most responsive and responsible bidder responding to the request for proposals for fiscal year 22 was R.H. Hilarios Landscaping, Inc., and the city awarded a one-year contract to R.H. Hilarios Landscaping, Inc., a copy of which is attached for the period beginning December 2022, and whereas the contract awarded to R.H. Hilarios Landscaping, Inc. conferred upon the city the option to extend the contract upon the same terms and conditions for 2 additional one-year terms, and whereas the council has determined that it is in the public interest to extend the contract with R.H. Hilarios Landscaping, Inc. for snow and ice removal for additional one-year period from December 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Glenarden, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 18th day of November 2024, that number one, that contract number 2022-01 for snow and ice control services be, and it is hereby extended for an additional one-year term for the period from December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, that the contract services shall be paid from Public Works budget, snow removal and landscaping line item 7240, 106060, and 3, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to bring this resolution to the floor for a vote?
So move.
Moved by Councilman Hairston. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Herring. Any discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, by unanimous consent, R-21-2025 is hereby adopted. And again, R-2022-2025 was tabled. Moving on to R-23-2025, a resolution to approve the appointment of Charles L. Simpson Jr. as the city manager. Madam Clerk.
Whereas pursuant to section of the city charter, the council shall appoint and the council shall confirm a city manager, and whereas indicated in section 502 authority, the city manager shall be the chief administrative officer of the city and shall be responsible for the administration of all city affairs placed in his or her charge under the city charter. Whereas the City Council interviewed candidates for the position of city manager on October 29th and October 30th, 2024. And whereas based upon the judgment, experience, and recommendations, it has been determined that Mr. Charles L. Simpson Jr. is the candidate most qualified to assume the role of city manager. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Glen Arden, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 18th day of November 2024 as follows. Number 1, that the city manager is authorized to undertake all those powers and duties as set out in section 503 of the city charter. 2, that because Charles L. Simpson Jr. has been serving as acting city manager, his appointment as city manager for the city of Glen Arden at the annual salary in the budget is not contingent upon the successful completion of a fingerprint, background, and drug test. B, and is hereby approved pursuant to the authority granted in section 901 of the city of Glen Arden's charter. 3, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon approval by the Glen Arden City Council, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to bring this resolution to the floor for a vote?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Hairston. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Jones. Any discussion?
Yes,
Mr.
Council President, I have a question.
Yeah, I'll go online since I can see it. Yeah, Councilwoman Jones.
In paragraph number 2, under now therefore, is that reading correctly? That because Charles L. Simpson Jr. has been serving as acting city manager, his appointment as city manager for the city of Glen Arden at the annual salary in the budget is not, it should be is contingent upon, should be is contingent upon, not is not? I might be wrong.
He's already gone through that, so if we were to do that, he would have to go through the process again. So the not was intentional.
Okay. Because he's done the fingerprint, the background, and drug screening already.
Correct. And if that
All
stayed
right.
the same, then it will be contingent on him going through it again.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Council President. I appreciate that.
Any other? I'm sorry, Councilman Harry.
Yes, then that needs to state that in number 2, that's why he's not going through a background check.
Correct.
Should be something in there saying, because he's previously gone through, so that needs to be put in there.
So we'll amend it to say that he has already successfully passed the background check.
And I like a voice vote.
Yes, sir. All right. Any other discussion? All right. So we'll move forward with the voice vote on the amended resolution to include the additional verbiage that he's already passed the necessary background check and screening. With that, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilman Herring,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
and Council President Curtis.
Yes. Thank you. This resolution passes. Next is R-24-2025, a resolution for the purpose of filling the position of council clerk with a permanent employee, including the payment of a conversion fee to the entity retained to locate the qualified candidate. Madam Clerk.
Whereas the City of Glenarden, hereinafter the city, is a municipal corporation of the state of Maryland operating under Article 11-E of the Constitution of Maryland and Section 4-301 et sec of the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland as amended, and whereas pursuant to the Local Government Article of the Maryland Code, Section 5-202, the mayor and council of the City of Glenarden, Maryland, hereinafter the council, is expressly empowered to undertake actions, among other things, necessary to, 1, assure the good government of the municipality, and whereas Section 902 of the city charter provides that there shall be a clerk to the council who shall be appointed by the president of the council with the approval of a majority of the council, and who shall serve at the pleasure of the council, and whereas it is the sense of the council that Veronica Boyd is qualified to be hired for the position of clerk of the council on a permanent basis, subject to a reservation of all rights related to the employment relationship of the city and the employee as presently exists or may exist in the future, and whereas the firm Robert Half was retained to assist in identifying temporary services for the clerk to the council role, with the understanding that should the individual become a regular employee in any role, that the city will be obliged to pay Robert Half a permanent placement fee to retain Veronica Boyd, and whereas it is the sense of the council that this expenditure in the form of the obligation to Robert Half is justified in this instance, be it now resolved that the council, 1, approves the appointment of Veronica Boyd as clerk to the council, and 2, the council approves the necessary expenditure of payment to Robert Half of the conversion fee in the amount of $10,100 from ARPA funds. Be it further resolved and ordained by the City Council of Glenarden, Maryland, the requirements of Charter Section 308B for the introduction and adoption of resolutions having been satisfied, this resolution is hereby enacted on this 18th day of November 2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to bring this resolution to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Harrison. Is there a second? Second by Vice President Ferguson. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Herring?
Yeah, I've really just seen this piece of legislation. I have a big problem with it because you're rolling the buyout and the appointment in the same resolution. Normally you would have 2 resolutions because somebody may support a candidate but not support the buyout, and vice versa. I'm not sure why it was lumped into one and it doesn't give you that option, so I just have a problem with that. All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion, Vice President Ferguson?
Yeah, I just wanted to make note that employing Ms. Boyd through Robert Half, we pay $10,020 a month, and her buyout is 10-1. Even if we kept her on for another month without just trying to weigh it down, we still would be paying close to close to $10,000. So what we pay for her as a temp is pretty much what every month is what we're paying. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, I'll go to a voice vote.
Councilwoman Fareed?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Guillaume?
Yes.
Councilman Hairston?
Yes.
Councilman Herring?
Well, I support the appointment. I don't support the $10,000 buyout, so I abstain from this vote.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones?
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson?
Yes.
And Council President Curtis?
Yes. With that, this resolution R-24-2025 passes. That concludes our legislation for today. Next, we'll have reports. Are there any questions on the mayor's report from council members?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Harry?
Yes, Mayor, I was reading your report, and there's one section that really interests me, and that's accomplishments. You're talking about item number A, resolution, council actions. You're talking about the charter resolutions that we recently passed. And you say in here that the city council's decision-making was dominated by only 3 members, Councilwoman Erica Fareed, Council Vice President Angela Ferguson, and Councilman Anthony Herring. This exclusive group operated without the input of the mayor or any citizens, which raises serious questions about democratic representation. Many residents unable to attend due to health issues submitted written letters expressing their concerns, blah, 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 blah. Why are you quoting information that's not accurate? I'm not sure why you would put that in your letter.
Mayor Cross?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Herring, for pointing that out. And honestly, I've been to several of these meetings, as well as other citizens have been to several of these meetings, and it doesn't avail anything. We make recommendations, but my concern was the board was set up of only 3 people. The 3 people that you named were the only people in the decision-making process of this particular board that changed the charter, the governance of the city of Glenarden. And even while there were many citizens that came out and voiced opinions against this, 80 citizens of which in majority, October 20th of 2022, this particular board continued to state on multiple occasions, we the council, we do what we want. And as a result, we have this legislation which definitely does not fit the model or the role of good local governance. And so this is an accurate statement because members have come, I've come, and they particularly were not heard. And again, when we have citizens who come in mass form in the previous session to say that this legislation is one of the ones that they didn't want to negate the citizens' ability to particularly vote for their own mayor and not have that appointed by the council, that becomes a piece of local governance concern to make sure that we're not running a dictatorship, but we're literally living in a democracy, which is where the people were of the people, by the people, and a vote was had. So there are a lot of citizens in the city that is not being heard, particularly on this particular legislation. So thank you so much.
I would just like to say we've had over 20 meetings, 2 years worth of meetings. I think we had like at least a meeting every month for the last 2 years. I know it's almost 20 meetings we had. All the meetings were advertised on a marquee. They were advertised on our social media. You were more than welcome to to jump into the meetings. I think we even had at the beginning, we actually allowed citizens to comment and people to speak on what we were doing. The October meeting, like you said, people came out, and most of them were expressing something that wasn't true, and that was that we were going to vote you out of office, and that's basically what they came there for, and that wasn't actually true. We came there to hear from them to get a better idea of what they wanted and let them know what we were doing. Again, we had over 20 meetings, and I know I was in most of them. I don't remember seeing you in one of them, in one of the work sessions. I think you might have been in one, maybe one, but your input was, and I even got emails where we sent emails out, and Councilwoman Fareed made it quite clear to the clerk when she sent them out, make sure you include the city manager and the mayor on these meetings that we're having so that they can chime in if they want to and see what we're doing. So it wasn't anything hidden. It wasn't nothing, nobody sat there and just 3 council members sat there and made a decision. We listened to the people. As a matter of fact, we went back and forth on the mayor issue because of the meeting that was held on how we were going to, whether we're going to elect a mayor or appoint a mayor. So that was, that dragged the whole process out a couple of months because we tried to do that. So actually, what you're having here is not accurate at all. We were very above board. We were very transparent. We made sure that the citizens knew what we were doing. We had public hearing after public hearing, and even this meeting, even before we voted on it, we actually had 2 public hearings on the charter resolutions themselves. We did one that we did which was required by the city charter, and we did one that was required by the state of Maryland. So actually, this information that you have here is not accurate at all. You have more than enough opportunity. I would love to see an email that you would have sent to us saying this is what you would like to see in the charter, and I don't think I've seen one. So, I really think that it isn't fair to sit there and put things in this report that really is not accurate. And that's what happened last time when people came in October and we finally told them what was happening. They're like, huh? Oh, we were told something different. And then the next meeting, you didn't see anybody there. So, all right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Vice President Ferguson?
Yes, I wanted to also comment on that same section. The only thing that I really kind of see that was truthful were the quoted dates, which is October 2022 and the current one, November, in November of this year. Again, the first meeting that we had in October, we were just bringing to the public to see what their intent, what their idea was about the change the form of government. I know that while we were in that meeting, I stated that whichever way we go with the change, if we went with the change of government, it would not happen until the next administration, 2025. And when I say I looked at various people that I know that was solicited to come to the meeting by the mayor, you should have saw their faces. And then some of them hung back after the meeting and said that they were told by the mayor that we were trying to put her out of office. We were voting on that, and that would make her cause her to be out of office before her term was over. The other thing is that it's true that it was 3 of us on the committee, and it was a committee. It wasn't no group inclusively doing anything. And one thing about the council, if we have 3 or less, then we don't have to advertise and we do not have to publicize the meeting. However, it was 3 of us, and every meeting was publicized, advertised, and it was put on Zoom for anyone to participate. And it was recorded. So if anyone could not attend, they could always go back. And I do remember seeing the mayor at 2 of the meetings. One thing I want to state also is that the mayor does not communicate with the council. The only time she really communicates with the council is in these meetings here. At any given time, if the mayor could not, or even a citizen could not attend the meeting when it was going forth at that time, they could always go back and look at to look at the video, and they could have sent an email, could have called any one of the council members, and they could have got clarity or voiced their opinion. The other thing, there was some other statements in there where she said that the decisions were made by 3 council members. That's ludicrous, because the fact of the matter is that we cannot even pass any legislation or anything without at least 4 votes. The other thing, again, 2 years worth of working the whole charter, and the charter wasn't just changed just because of the form of government per se. There were a lot of things in there that was contradictory, different sections. So, and it is advised that the charters need to be reviewed at least 5 to 10 years, every 10 years, I think. But it had been a while since it had been done. So there were some things that were voiced, like the ward, having wards and the mayor, being able to vote for the mayor. But overall, that is not the whole contents of the charter. The charter is our law for the city of Glenarden. So all of this stuff, and it's really hurtful that you know, time after time, the mayor wants to come and she wants to incite, you know, people, and is this delusional, and it's, I mean, you know, deceitful, and she knows better, because we cannot, and even with that, every time we after we worked on something, everything was brought back to the council and to the citizens. And 2 years worth, we did not just make up anything. The other thing is that I didn't like the fact that that she was saying that there were many residents that was unable to attend because of health issues, and they submitted written letters. I've never seen a written letter or forwarded to the city council, let alone the charter review board. No one has sent anything. And if they send it to her, then, she did not forward it to us. 'Cause like I said again, she really does not communicate with us. This is a serious matter, and, no one, we do not have time to play games. I've been living out here all my life, 65 years. And I don't take, our government or whatever we do lightly. And so for her to come and say that we're just, coming against, we just doing what we want to do, and we say we do what we want to do. I don't even know who said that. That's something that she wrote. So I'm just saying that oftentimes the mayor, she writes what she wants to write. It's her opinion, and she's entitled to her opinion. But I would admonish the citizens to, read, what they, read the charter, read the legislation of what's going on. If you have any questions, all of us are free. We will take your calls. We take many calls. But again, this is not true. She could have sent emails, and citizens could have sent emails and say, well, hey, I don't like this particular thing. I don't, whatever it is, or question us about it. So everyone had time to, was able to respond. Again, I just want to make it clear, 3 council members could meet just by ourselves, but we saw fit to make it public every meeting and to advertise it. Nothing was private, nothing was done underneath the table. And everyone had a chance to comment on it at the work session, at the public hearing, or either write or witness it themselves. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Vice President Ferguson. Councilwoman Fareed.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. I want to ensure that it is made clear that everything was done in decency and order, even the establishment of the committee, which was done via resolution. So even that had an opportunity to come before the public and have them place comment on whether or not there should be a committee comprised of 3 council members or not. Further, the 3 council members that were on the committee were charged with the task of moving the effort forward, not on making decisions. And if you go back and listen to recordings, you will hear that the 3 of us did not even agree on everything. We had differences, as even illustrated in the votes for this particular charter resolution. So this was not a consolidated effort of 3 people to overturn the government as has been portrayed. Further, no action can be taken by 3 council members. An action can only be taken by the entirety of the council. I would love to see a transcript or recording where anyone on the council said, we are the council and we do what we want to do. In terms of communication, I personally reached out to the mayor to discuss what was being done regarding this resolution, to explain how, in fact, the role of the mayor would be expanded beyond the scope of responsibilities that the mayor currently has, so that we could resolve some of these conflicts that we've had in the past between the council and the mayor. I thought there was understanding in that conversation, but the next thing that came out from that was a letter from the NAACP accusing us of violating people's voting rights. So even in a good faith effort to have conversation and start dialogue so that there could be true understanding of what the objectives were and what we were trying to accomplish collectively, we were sneak attacked and defamed through the use of that letter that was distributed to many people, which was reputation harm to all of the council members. I think it is one thing to express an opinion that is differing from the majority of the council. That is fair. But it is a whole other thing to blatantly lie and present those as facts about individuals on this council who have done their level best to be open and transparent to the entirety of the city and have spent years, as already stated, explaining the perspective and the context in which these pieces of the resolution were brought forward. The problem is there's a misinformation campaign, and so people are only getting pieces of the information, and I don't necessarily blame them for that, but we do know that who is the source of that misinformation. And I think that this is a demonstration of what we have been saying about the unity or lack thereof that we're having in this government, and the fact that we can't even have civil discourse, but we are constantly defending ourselves against false accusations and correcting a litany of misinformation over and over and over again. And even when it's corrected, it's still brought back again. And I think that is a disservice to the entire city. I thank all the council members who did work on this, who spent their time on this. I thank the members of the city who were thoughtful enough to listen and understand what's being proposed, even if they disagreed with it. And I just would like for us to move on from this matter. If we cannot move on from this matter, that will be demonstrated by a petition to referendum. There is a process. Everything needs to be done in decency and order. But slandering our co-officials in this government it just really needs to stop. Thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman Jones.
Council President, I also have issue with this writing in the mayor's report. As you know, and several of the other council people know, I just attended the Maryland Municipal League fall conference, which included these conferences are backed by the School of Policy, University of Maryland. And in that conference this year, they had a class that was taught by two outstanding attorneys in the state of Maryland, Kevin Bess and Skip Cornbrooks. And it was structure of government. And in this structure of government class, I sat in that class, and also Mayor Cross was in that class. So I don't understand why she doesn't, after what was transpired in that class concerning the structure of government, concerning what we did, and this was done with an attorney, Susan Ruff, I think is her name, who is an expert in that field, that assisted the council, the three members of the council that we chose to be on this committee to work on this change of charter. So I don't understand why the mayor is still putting out these false allegations when you just went to a class in October. In October, was it October? No, November, the 5th of November through the 8th in Chesapeake Bay and Cambridge, Maryland. And this class was taught, and the information that was provided by both of those attorneys should have been, it clarified the issue for me as far as the council, the city of Glenarden doing what we did. And we did it under, like I said, under the direction of an attorney who gave us information as to how this process was supposed to play out. So like I said, I'm not understanding why we're reading this in a report that says that the council has done some wrongdoing when you just went to a class, and both of these attorneys, very knowledgeable attorneys concerning structure of government, especially Skip Cornbrooks. I was surprised to see Mr. Best there, but I know that he's also in his as an attorney, he does the research that needs to be done in order to present truths. And they gave us the truths in that class. And you were in the same class, Mayor Cross, as I was. So I don't understand why you're writing this kind of dialogue when it was explained to us in that class just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, as to how the structure of government can be changed. Thank you, Council President.
And Councilwoman Guillaume.
Thank you, Council President. I do want to first
thank my three colleagues who were brave enough to actually take so much time out of their own lives separate from their regular council duties to even discuss the charter review and get us to the point where we are currently. And so those folks we already know, but I'll just call them by name, and that's Councilman Herring, Council Vice President Ferguson, and Councilwoman Fareed. So I do want to thank you, and I agree with everything that has been stated thus far from my colleagues. I do have several things here where, number one, this is, as far as the mayor is concerned, we see a litany of things being listed as accomplishments, and it's not an accomplishment. It's literally an attack on the council. So I don't even know if or why it's even listed as an accomplishment, because there's nothing that was accomplished by the mayor in regards to stating things that she's saying. I don't understand. I don't even know if the true definition of accomplished is being applied. So I would question that. I've been questioning that for a while, but I'm saying that publicly on record. The thing also that, and I'm going to go back to the charter review stuff in a second, but even as we look at page 3, right? And we're talking about accomplishments. I see page 3, I believe, the second bullet, or second, whatever it's called, City of Glenarden Cancer Awareness Program. I just want to publicly ask my colleagues, Mr. Councilman Hairston and Councilman Herring, were you guys the ones that did this event, or was it in conjunction with the mayor, or did the mayor do it? Because on page 3, it's listed as an accomplishment.
That was a program hosted by Councilman Hairston and myself. We've done it for the last 3 years. 3 years, yes, and it does not involve the administration or the mayor in any form or in any way.
Page 3. So you'll see the first is accomplished, the second, but is the mayor's office fielded 23 office calls and meetings, and it was listed out, and then also then it talks about that. So just wanted to get clarity on that. Now, I do want to go back to what my colleagues originally brought up, which was under the resolutions and council actions, which was under accomplished, right? Where I have been on the council for several years now, and or at least this sitting council has been in effect for several years now. And even prior to that, I've attended several council meetings. But if I'm speaking about this current city council, I have yet to see 80 Glenarden citizens attend a meeting. I've seen 80 citizens at several events that have been held, but I have never seen 80 citizens gather to express anything. I want to be cautious and want to be very clear that if you live in Eagle Harbor, that does not mean that you are a citizen of Glenarden. If you live in the state of Virginia, that does not mean that you are a citizen of Glenarden. If you are a member of a fraternity or sorority that is not located in the city of Glenarden, that does not make you a citizen of Glenarden. If you are a mayor of another municipality and you want to come and speak on behalf of another legislator who happens to be part of the city of Glenarden, that does not make you a citizen of Glenarden. So when we see numbers, when I see numbers such as 80, and I don't see 80 citizens of the state of Maryland or 80 citizens from the United States of America, let's be clear, because there has never, ever been 80 citizens from this municipality, from this beautiful city that gathered to express strong opposition to anything. And I lastly want to say this, that for those who have been seeing how this council operates, I know that nothing is, I don't want to say nothing. No one is perfect, including the sitting council. I will say that, but I do think that the vast majority of people who have been following us, they can actually see that we have some strong personalities on this council. And I doubt very seriously that those, and myself included, those of us who have those type of personalities would allow 3 council members to dominate our decision making. I will never sacrifice my voice for anyone to usurp it. So I just want to again say that equally to what my colleague stated, that this is a farce and it's an untruth. And I apologize again to the citizens of Glenarden for this continuous account of misinformation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding the mayor's report?
Yes, I actually do have another question. I just noticed this.
Councilman Harry?
So it says, Mayor, are you doing the Polar Express or the Thanksgiving giveaway? Because in your, it says under Mayor Proclamation and other actions, Mayor Cross held discussions with the city manager and administrative staff regarding upcoming administrative events, including the Thanksgiving giveaway and the Polar Express Christmas program. But you're not participating in those, are you?
Mayor Cross?
Thank you, Councilman Herring, for that question. I think that's a question. I will be able to support whatever is required. Of course, this is part of the administration's budget, so the administration will be making all of the calls of actions on this. But relative to whatever they need, they will be able to utilize whatever services we can offer. I have already communicated this to City Manager Simpson. I believe he would agree with that point, as well as to Jordan McLong, who is preponderantly helping to organize these things. And relative to what I put in the mayor's report, there was a whole litany of just hate crime that just happened relative to the comments. I didn't hear many questions. I heard one from Councilman Herring. But what I will say is these events are programs that I come to, including the cancer program, and also add to the event during that day with discussion and support. So relative to my attendances, yes, I do account those as having come, because just like everyone else, those are parts of my day that I give to the city of Glenarden freely, because that's something that I think that we all should be there. I don't see a lot of folks attending these meetings, but I definitely attend them, all of them if I can. But I do want to acknowledge that, yeah, we will be able to support whatever is needed. Again, there is no budget, so I do not make budget calls on someone else's budget. Just like I wouldn't come to your house and tell you how to spend your money at your house. So when the money is in a budget and it is prescribed for a specific office, it is that office's responsibility to govern that money. Now, I will be a support asset just as well. If anybody needs any help, I've always offered that. So I'll be there to help, however they need.
I just want to follow up on the Thanksgiving turkey giveaway with both the mayor and the city manager. Last year, the turkeys left City Hall prior to the expiration of the event ending, and they were taken, Mayor, by you, along with some gift cards. And I'm going to ask the city manager to ensure that the turkeys stay out there in this parking lot until the event ends when it's supposed to end. Because I had people looking for turkeys, and the turkeys were gone. And Mayor, you took them over to another location in the city, and I didn't know where.
That's not true. I didn't take a single turkey nowhere.
So point of
Madam
order.
President, Madam Mayor, you're absolutely wrong about that. And everybody knows those turkeys walked away over the Glenarden Hills. And while, people may have needed them over there, they should have came over here to get them. Because I had other people who were looking for turkeys, and I told them to go to the town hall, and they were like, there's no one there.
Because your city manager took those turkeys.
No,
I didn't take them nowhere.
So
I'm not gonna argue back and forth. I'm just asking that they stay in the parking lot until the end of the event. That's what I'm asking, because people come up here at the last minute. Thank you.
thank you. All right. Are there any other questions regarding the mayor's report? Vice President Ferguson.
Treasurer Dean Stewart.
Oh.
Does the mayor have a budget for this year, 2024-25?
So for special events for 2025, the mayor has a budget that was passed over to the administrative department simply for accountability purpose. But those funds are available for the mayor's events. The funds are just there for accountability purpose, where it has to go through the regular accounting processes to make payment and to receive funds if funds or goods in kinds are passed to the city.
Okay, so if she wanted to do the Polar Express herself, she could just tell the administration that she's on the Polar Express and she needs the funds that are allocated for that particular event, and it would be provided to her?
Yes, because as you see in the budget, it distinctively states that the funds that are there for the executive events are available to the mayor for her spending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for context, because I think it's important for people to understand, and this is by no means to start an argument, the way things are set up now is because there was, I'll just call it a misunderstanding of how we should handle things. And things were handled appropriately when things were designated in the mayor's budget. So, for accountability purposes, we moved funds into the administrative budget and told the mayor that she could still spearhead these events with the accountability of the treasurer and the city manager. That way, we can have oversight of financial matters and won't put ourselves in any sticky situation accounting-wise or ethically. That is why we had to move special events from the mayor's budget to the administrative budget, but by no means that does not mean that the mayor cannot spearhead these events. She has the administrative staff at the helm waiting for any ideas that she may have or any instructions on how to pull on the Polar Express or the turkey giveaway. So that is the context of it. So.
Mr. President, just one more thing. I don't want to really beat this dead horse, but because we go through this every meeting about this budget and these events. So, Mayor, can I ask you a question? And I just need a yes or no. Are you the chief executive officer according to the charter?
Mayor Cross.
So you're going to have to put that into context, as all that I done heard today is not true. As a chief executive officer, it doesn't matter what a title is. It matters what the paperwork is written as. And I am very appalled that the finance officer would say that I could use budget money that is obviously coded and lined under the city manager. It is not coded and lined like your budget is under the city council. The police chief budget is under the police chief. The code enforcement budget is under the code enforcement. The executive's budget for any special events is under the city manager. So the city manager is in control of that money. I am FAR trained, which is FM Level 2, Department of Defense, TSSCI, full scope poly. I do not mess with funds that are not in my budget line. So I don't even know where you got your finance decision from that, because when you put money in someone else's budget line, it's just like being in someone else's house. You don't touch it unless they give you permission. What we had stated is all special events should be covered under the city manager, but nobody wanted to go with that except when it would pertain to the mayor. So am I the CEO? You're darn right. By title. But what does that mean for this council? Because all the legislation that has been passed has egregiously mitigated all of what we as citizens voted for when I took office, August the 18th of 2021. And it has been a 3-year tragedy of this council to continue to mitigate and nullify what the citizens understood the CEO to be doing. Thank you.
Well,
thank you, Mayor Cross.
Let me just wrap this up.
Thank you.
So, Mayor, as the CEO, and you just mentioned the charter, So obviously you haven't read the charter, because the charter clearly states that the city manager would do whatever the council or the mayor asks them to do. So you do have a right to administer that budget under administration, and we're not going to debate this because that's what the charter says, and I don't need to hear your interpretation when it's in black and white. So the charter does give you that. If you're going to be the CEO, then be the CEO. Don't just be the CEO when you're out and about and talking about the council, taking your power away or whatever. Again, these are programs for the citizens, and that's why we put that money in the budget, and we want the money spent in a way that we know what's going on. Again, I'm accountable. Everything I do for Glen Arden Day, it's on a piece of paper. I submit it to the council. I got a whole budget I'm going to submit to the council. The expungement, I show what I spent my money on. We, to this day, with every event that you had, do not know how or where you spent this money from, where you even got it from. But again, as the CEO, and to prove us wrong or to make us look bad or something, you're going to affect the citizens. I mean, a kiddie party. I mean, last year you basically bowed out of the event at the week before it, which I thought was a terrible thing to do. We had 300 people that registered for the Polar Express, and you backed out of it, so the administration had to pull it together somehow and got it going. So I'm just saying, either you want to be the CEO and you're going to be the CEO for the citizens, or you're going to be the CEO for your own self-grandizement. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm done with this topic. I don't even want to hear about another event with the mayor doing or anything else. So, it's enough is enough. Thank you.
Okay. Final comment to Vice President Ferguson, and then we'll move on to other reports.
Yeah, I just wanted to state that regardless of anybody's qualifications, job, career, whatever, when you use someone's money, whether it's the personal or especially government, you have got to be accountable for every dime and dollar that you use. And make reports such as what my colleague just said. You have to. And in the beginning, it was hard to get information. All we heard was, I'm the CEO, and this is what I'm doing. Even from donations, large donations. At the end of the
that is a misstatement.
Point of order.
Everyone that
Point of order.
Point of order.
You tell the truth.
I'm telling the truth. And you know what? That's the thing about it. You talk about all your
Just point of order.
All this praying.
Mayor Cross.
Lying on the stand.
Mayor Cross.
You tell the truth.
I am telling the truth.
All right. So, Chief, can you please escort the mayor?
No, I don't want her. She don't need to be escorted. She did. Myself. She goes around talking about, and she does have a lot on her underneath her belt. But when you get 20 years of declarated veteran, I know if you're in the service, you have learned discipline, and you're disrespectful. And I know if you're in church and you don't believe what the pastor's saying, you're not going to stand up and allow talk the pastor. You're not going. If a police officer stopped you, you're not going to allow talk him. And if you're in a judge, a court of order, and I've seen you in the courtroom. And you do not overtalk the judge. And I'm telling you, you're disrespectful on all terms. You don't talk about nobody quoting scriptures, because I can tell you about you being on the phone with me, quoting scriptures and speaking in tongues and cursing in the same breath. So don't talk to me about that. Do not disrespect me. And like I said, when you have government money, you have got to be accountable for it. And so she didn't want to be accountable, and so therefore that's why we are supervising her budget, but she still has access to it. It's no different than me putting my money in a bank. When they hold it for me, and they might even use it, but when I want to withdraw, I can withdraw. And that is how her budget is. She can withdraw. And I'm not going to let you keep disrespecting me. And like I said, you should not ever have to be carried out of here. Because like I said, you have a lot of, you're a doctor, lawyer, industry, whatever you are, but you have a lot underneath your belt. And respect it and thank you for your service. But I cannot believe that you did 20 years of service and you cannot even be disciplined in a little municipality. The devil is a liar. And I'm not lying. I don't have to lie about anything, because at the end of the day, your actions show. All this you incite stuff, and you got people coming talking about us and coming in your face and saying, and it's a lie. Either that, you're delusional, or you need some kind of help, special needs or something. I'm finished.
She just, one thing you do not talk about.
Point of, Mayor Cross. 1 second. All right.
So the bottom line is,
Vice President, point of order.
no,
Point of order. No, just stay.
no, you know, because at this point, they might be carrying me out of here.
Yeah.
Her always talking about me. And I've done nothing but try to show her kindness. I ran on the ticket with her. For real, for real?
Just stop. Are you staying?
I think she need to be carried out.
Mayor Cross, do you want to stay at this meeting?
Is that a real question?
Yes or no? Here, listen to what I'm saying.
I think the citizens might have some questions for me. I'm happy to stay. Thank you.
Now, Mayor Cross, I'd be happy for you to stay at this meeting, but when there's a point of order, everyone needs to stop talking and allow the order to commence. And as the presiding officer over this meeting, I will hear whatever the point of order is, I'll rule on a point of order, and then that person will have the floor. If you do not have the floor, you cannot speak. No matter if you like what somebody's saying or dislike what somebody's saying. This is supposed to be an orderly meeting, and in order for it to be orderly, you have to listen to the others even if you do not like what they are saying. If you cannot do that, if you cannot have self-control, then one of the officers will remove you from the meeting. I have no pleasure in removing anyone from the meeting, so I hope that everyone will be able to be disciplined, to listen and speak when I, the presiding officer, call on you to speak. That is how this meeting goes. With that being said, there are no more questions for the mayor's report. We are moving on. Next up is city manager report. Mr. Simpson.
Good evening. First, thank you for the opportunity to serve as city manager. I came here as Director of Public Works and was definitely happy to serve in that capacity. I look forward to the opportunity to work to provide some consistency and stability with the city. And I asked the residents as well as the council, and I've touched base with each one, as well as our staff, to help me work together so that we can serve the residents of this city. With that being said, I'll open up for questions relative to the report, if you have any.
Are there any questions? Councilman Harry?
Yes, Mr. Simpson, where are we at with Church Street?
Church Street, we have confirmed with NZI, and they'll be here this week to sign the documentation, the contract, relative to the proposals that I believe we sent out to the council, and I can resend that to you. So my hope is that that will start to take place within the coming weeks.
And also with Glenarm Parkway sidewalks?
Yes, sir. Glenarm Parkway sidewalks and the remaining Ward 3 sidewalks.
So where are we with the slab at MLK Park? Discuss that.
I'm still confirming some information from NZI. When he comes in, I'll work to make sure you have that information as well.
And did you research any gazebos for that lot?
I do have some information that's being gathered for that lot. We're working with CPJA initially with their landscaping architect, and then they had some changes. But yes, I have some information that's being gathered so that I can present it to the council and to you particularly, Mr. Harris.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Herring. Are there any other questions for the city manager? Hearing none, we'll move on to Public Works. Are there any high level?
Nothing at this point other than what's been mentioned, that the community garden is starting to take form here soon, and discussions are made with the master gardener so that plans can be presented exactly how that community garden will unfold and look.
Okay. And just to point out, nothing to discuss here because it involves personnel, but now that you'll be moving into a permanent role, there will be a vacant role for the Department of Public Works. So just please keep the council updated on the plans to fill that position as the director.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Next up is the Chief of Police report.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to congratulate City Manager and the Council Clerk on their positions, and welcome to City of Glenarden. As far as Police Department, as far as crime, we're down all categories except for breaking and enterings. We had a surge of breaking and enterings all across the county and the DMV area. So we're up 3 more compared to last time this year. Overall, we're down 16 crimes compared to last time this year. And just found out that the City of Glenarden came in second, tied second for the safest city in the state of Maryland, moving up one from being number 3 for several years. So I'd like to thank the citizens for their input, keeping us posted, and the officers doing an outstanding job making sure that we have a safe city in the City of Glenarden. One other thing is with the crime, the weather's going to change. I spoke about it briefly last month. Make sure that you don't leave your vehicle running and unattended. All across the DMV area, we got people out here waiting for people to leave their car running at home, at stores and so forth, and they're breaking into these vehicles or jumping into them and taking off. So this is the time of year where there's stolen autos pick up. So let's be careful with that. Any questions?
Yes, Chief. Question, because I'm getting concerns from a number of citizens about patrolling, and is there going to be increased patrolling throughout the community? Also, loitering up at A1 Liquors. No one should be loitering up in A1 Liquors parking lot. We went down to the liquor board a couple of times and sat down there till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning to get a memorandum of understanding with the liquor store that they will not allow any loitering in that parking lot. There's loitering, there's trash in the parking lot. They need to clean it up. They need to make that place look presentable because it's right along 704. So y'all may need to reach out to Mr. Singh, I think his name is,
Yes.
whoever owns it.
Yes.
To let him know that that's not acceptable. They're supposed to buy whatever they're going to buy and then leave the lot.
Exactly.
I'm getting complaints from people that live around that they see too much loitering in both there and also at that little strip mall up there. And like I said, again, I heard they're selling Lucy's and everything else, which they're not supposed to be doing. And I think somebody may need to check that, tobacco shop up there?
Yeah,
and see if they're actually doing that.
Okay. Well, yeah. In reference to A1 Liquors, we had a regular that hangs out there that starts trouble, been assaulted quite a few times, refused to take police reports. We're very familiar with him. He hasn't been out there late, but he's a magnet out there, and we are speaking with the owner of that property, and I'll get with Mr. Green, code enforcement, and we go up there and continue to address that. As far as patrol, we are patrolling areas. We are picking up more, especially because of the holidays and stuff. Officers are assigned to wards and stuff, and with the addition of 7th Street Park, I'd like to thank Vice President Ferguson for the information she provided to us in reference to that. Since that information was provided, we had a strong presence down there, and we haven't had any incidents or anybody hanging out there since that. So thank you for that information. We continue to ask the citizens to be vigilant and to keep us posted on things that you see. If you see something, say something and keep us posted. Yeah, and we are stepping up our patrols. Despite the manpower issues we are having, officers been mandated to work overtime to make sure our patrols are visible in all wards, covering certain areas and stuff. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for the chief? Here none, we'll move on to the code enforcement, sorry.
Good evening again, everyone. I think that everyone has received a copy of Code Enforcement's report. If there are any questions, I would like to answer those questions. If not, I would like to provide an update and say a few words.
Well, are there any questions for the Code Enforcement Officer?
Could he give his update first and then I'll see?
Can you provide a high-level update, please?
Yes. In regards to 8737 Glenarden Parkway, the property that's across from the library, this is information from the city's attorney that says that the Court of Appeals determined that it did not have jurisdiction over the appeal and transferred the matter to the Maryland Supreme Court. The effect of having the case moved up to the Supreme Court by the appellate court had the effect of giving the property owner an additional 2 weeks to file the correct papers to keep her appeal alive. The attorney is prepared to file a strong opposition motion on an emergency basis because of the threat to the property caused by the overgrowth. Unfortunately, the attorney cannot file the opposition before the property owner's writ because it would trigger the court to schedule a hearing, and that would give her more time to file and increase the chance of an in-person hearing. The attorney goes on to say that this situation is highly abnormal. And I just wanted to say that Code Enforcement's goal is to be highly responsive to the concerns of the citizens, even while rebuilding and rebranding the team. We want to let the citizens know that when code violation concerns are received, Code Enforcement act as quickly as possible. Sometimes property owners comply right away. Other times additional steps are required. Most often, Code Enforcement work is performed behind the scene. I would also like to say that Code Enforcement appreciate and welcome participation from citizens and elected officials alike. And finally, I would like to invite council members to meet with Code Enforcement to discuss process and procedures and to perform a ride-along. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Harry?
Yes. Just for clarification, what you mentioned earlier, the new zoning regulations.
Yes.
Which actually specifically speak on residential R55 zoning and commercial vehicles. That, when I looked at it, because you gave me the information, I went and referenced it, it's quite clear that you cannot have any vehicles over 8,500 pounds in a residential area, according to what they have out there, what they just recently passed. When was that passed? Do you know?
I don't. I just know that I've been working with them, and within the past 30 days, they sent that to me, but it didn't have an effective date on it.
Okay. So anyway, but that's a zoning regulation.
Correct.
Which we have no control over because we don't do any zoning. All our zoning is followed through the county, so we have to adhere to what the standards that they set.
Correct.
When it comes down to zoning. Okay. Just wanted to be clear. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
So I just want to be clear that I heard you correctly, Councilman Herring, that you cannot have a vehicle over 8,500 pounds in the residential area or parked in a residential area. Is that?
That's correct. But they're referring to a commercial vehicle. So if you have a commercial vehicle, it cannot be more. You can't have it parked in your driveway if it's more than 8,500 pounds.
Okay. And there's is there a distinction between a commercial vehicle and a work vehicle, or is it just the 8,500 pound designation?
That's correct. They don't differentiate. They just said that you can't have a commercial vehicle over 8,500 pounds. And also you can't have any lettering on it except for a name, and it can't be more than 4 inches high.
4 inches high. And I think I talked to you about that before. It's like $1.
Correct.
Bigger than a dollar bill
like
size.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Green? From the council members? Citizens will have an opportunity next. All right. Hearing none. City Treasurer.
Thank you, Council
High level,
President.
please.
High level. Hi. As a matter of fact, I'll be giving you updates. The Finance Department will start audit in December. And with regard to the American Rescue Plan, I'll be working with Mr. Hemler to ensure that we get our obligations intact before December 31st, 2024, as it relates to the funds that are remaining within the budget for American Rescue Plan. I've actually moved funds from the budget to account for salaries. That salaries we'll be looking at 2024 salaries through to 2025 in order to totally obligate those funds, if not use, but obligate as well. As it relates to the retirement funds, we are working on that as we go forward. I should have a resolution prepared for the next month to deal with the retirement funds. But there's one question I would like to ask the council, and it is to find out if there will be a recess in December as been done in the past 2 years. Thank you.
I'll pass it over to Council President Curtis.
I think the goal is to have one. I know that we can do it by a consensus, but if there are members who would rather do it by a resolution, I understand that as well. But I think that is still the plan if majority wants it.
Mr. President,
Councilman Harry?
I'd like to bring a motion to the floor that we go into recess in December.
I'd like this. Do I need to second it or third it?
We can't. Let's hold off.
Sir.
Let's hold off on it until
Yes.
he finishes the report, and then I'll address.
Well, you got a second and a motion and a second, so we will.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're all right. You're all right. So there's a. No, you're right. There's protocol. There's a motion for the council to go on recess the month of December. It was seconded, so by rule I have to hold the vote. I will say, however, that this does not mean that council cannot meet in the month of December. It means that the regular meetings will be suspended, but if there are things that we need to meet on, then we will meet. So, with that, is there any discussion on the motion that's on the floor for council to go into recess during the month of December?
So, Mr. President, let me amend my motion. So I make the motion that we go into recess in December pending any necessary meetings.
Any comments, any discussion on the amended motion? Any opposition? Councilwoman Jones.
Council President, does this mean that we will not have a work session in December and we will not have a public hearing and we will not have a regular meeting, or will we have those 3 meetings and then after the regular meeting, then we go into recess until January?
Right, that means that the 3 meetings, the work session, public hearing, and regular session, will not have them unless there is business, immediate business that needs to be attended to, and then we will have meetings. Any opposition? Hearing none by unanimous consent, the motion passes for recess.
Okay. So thank you.
Can I ask a question?
My reason for asking is that
I'm sorry, City Treasurer.
Yes.
December 1st?
December 1st.
You got the day on it? What day is it?
It is December 1st through December 31st. So
thank you.
our regular meetings will commence again the first week of January.
Yes. So my reason for asking is because I would like to put forward a resolution by January for the for your consideration for the retirement funds.
Oh, yeah, work on it, and
Yes.
we'll make sure it gets in on the 1st of January.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, but that's it for now. Yes, go ahead.
The one question I did have for you, or more so of a comment, I know that you're working with Mr. Himmler, correct, on the ARPA funds?
Yes.
So two things. One, the council agreed that the buyout for the council clerk contract with Robert Half should come out the ARPA fund. So that amount should be excluded from it.
Yes.
We can pay that now and count it against the ARPA funds. And number two, is there a long process for us to flag the residual funds as salaries and get that over to the federal government so the funds won't be forfeited?
So the activity process is it's from the funds were received. So we should be able to ask for funds or apply those salaries for last year, even the year before. But I'm still working with Mr. Himmler to get that totally ironed out. I have done the report for April, which this year I've done the ARPA report, and it take into consideration through to December 2023. But given that we are going to do salaries, we could do an amendment to account for salaries to take care of the rest of the funds. But I will be considering those funds, those expenditures that will come about before we do a final closeout.
So last thing, please make sure that we close out all of the other programs that we had, that the council and the mayor has a full accounting of how those programs ended. And that takes precedent over everything. So even the audit, because we want to make sure that we do not surrender the, I think it's what, $2 million. So let's plan ahead and plan outward so that we are finished by mid-December with whatever requirements they need for us to have, that is done, that is in front of the council. The council is well aware of what's needed, and we can sign off. So that if there is anything that has held us back, we have 2 weeks to work it back. So let's, all right. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now we will move on to citizens' comments. So what I will say is that, citizens, you have 5 minutes to, ask questions, speak on anything that you want to speak on. In light of, some things have gone on tonight, I will say that every citizen is expected to be, civil, professional. If you are not, then one of my officers will remove you from the meeting. Hopefully that does not have to take place. We can all hear each other, even if we don't like what other people or what other people say. Like, it's, self-control. But I will ask that even if you're giving some unpleasant message, that you would still be respectful. You have 5 minutes. I will encourage you to ask your questions. If you do have questions of people, ask all of your questions, because your 5 minutes will run out pretty fast. If you surrender your 5 minutes, you will not be able to come back up. And that is it. If you're online, if you're online, I ask that you please raise your virtual hand if you have a comment. If I see your virtual hand, I will recognize you. If you do not know how to raise your virtual hand, you can open your mic and ask to be heard, and then I will recognize you and put you in the queue where I've, in order of whom I've seen from inside the building and online. So, with that being said, I did see Mr. Cross first. Then I saw, I'm sorry. I call you. Thank you. Ms. Gray second, and Ms. Sylvester third. Okay? Ms. Cross? Yep. I'm sorry, sir. I'll just ask that you speak up. Yeah. If I have a hard time hearing you here, then they're gonna have a hard time with that. It was on. I'm just saying, speak up.
Okay. I
Yeah.
got you. Just had a couple of questions on a couple of the resolutions. R-24-2025. On line 23, it states that the local government article of the Maryland Code, section 5-202, the mayor and the city council of the city of Glenarden. But on the other resolution for the position being hired, R-23-2025, it says section 3 just says authority, and then it says the city manager shall be the chief of administrator. Was the mayor not involved with the selection of the city manager in the position? And did the mayor even get the list of all the people that were considered for the position, that did interviews, that you guys interviewed or anything like that? That's just one of the questions. Another question is, where do you have any documentation of paperwork or receipts or anything that the mayor did not submit on purchases that she made that you guys are saying, specifically Councilwoman Ferguson, that stated that she was misusing funds and funds that wasn't being accounted for? Do you have any paperwork or anything that says that she spent this amount of money, and then you had like a receipt or something like that that says that she didn't submit that receipt and they didn't line up and they went with the financial manager, anything like that? And another question was, how did the mayor walk away from the Polar Express on the week before if she doesn't have a budget? And seeing that the budget is in the city manager's hands, that's still not really controlled by the mayor. Now, if she can assist the city manager if he asks for help, but seeing that it's not her budget, she can't really take over the whole event. And we have an event coordinator, so why isn't the event coordinator taking over big events like that and be able to get connections and everything, and being able to plan an event of such caliber of the Polar Express? That's it. That's all I got. That depends on what you come back with.
All right, so three questions. Was the mayor involved with the selection of the city manager? No, she wasn't. She can't hire the city manager that department is allowed to the council. As to the paperwork to show...
Excuse us, Council President. Those of us online can't hear.
Sorry, thank you. I saw that my mic was off. Sorry. I'll start over. Three questions. First one, was the mayor involved with the selection of the city manager? My answer was no, she was not involved, because the authority to hire the city manager lies with the council.
But there's a conflict between the two resolutions, though.
1 second. And so the second one was, is there any paperwork to show mismanagement of funds? We've spent enough time going back and forth, but what I will say, and you can disagree with it or not, is that there have been numerous times where, unfortunately, things were taken back to your house.
Where is this documented?
Now, when I stood up here, I said, even if you don't like what somebody
I'm
says,
just kidding.
but
she got the time rolling for me. She still got the time rolling, so I'm good.
Mr. Cross, didn't interrupt you, so I'll come back to you if you have time. If not, it's fine. But there have been things taken from the city to your house, because you live with the mayor. There have been gift cards that were taken from the city manager by the mayor and taken out of her view to pass out to what Mr. Councilman Herring was saying, where the turkeys left, so did the gift cards. And so the city treasurer has had issues trying to recover things from the mayor just so he can do an accounting of it. Now, it will have to be one big collusion for everybody in the city administration and the council to be lying on the mayor. I find that to be highly unlikely, actually impossible to happen.
Can you let the mayor answer those allegations that you're putting against her right now?
You asked me the question, and I'm answering the question. And so there has been numerous times over the years where it just has not worked out. And so it caused the council to go to extreme measures to make sure that we can account for funds as we are legally required to do. The treasurer's asked for it, we have asked for it. I have been in the mayor's office numerous times to ask for it. We have not received it because, unfortunately, there has not been any effort to work with us. So, with that, we said, you can still lead. You don't have to I don't have to be the leader of a homeless effort to give out soup because I don't control that effort or control those funds. That does not mean I can't go out and help, that I can't go out and volunteer and help with the setup or even the management of it. I don't have the funds in my hand, but I can still operate and be effective. And I've had this conversation with the mayor numerous times that we've had to have that control mechanism in place, but that does not prevent her from being involved in these events. That's her choice. I can't make her do it. If she wants to this year, she can. But that's no question number 2. Question number 3, I think I answered that with the no budget. Unfortunately, that's what we had to do. The city manager tried to work with her. The treasurer tried to work with her. The council tried to work with her. It just hasn't worked out because, unfortunately, there was no effort on the other end. So we are where we are, and I think I've answered your 3 questions.
But I was asking Councilwoman Ferguson and the mayor.
So 1 second.
You answered, but I was asking them.
Well, you asked 3 questions. I answered. You didn't dictate who the questions were for, and I would have honored that as you have before. You've asked the mayor or you've asked somebody else, and I've allowed you to do it. This time you did not. But because you said something to Vice President Ferguson, I will allow her to respond. And then your time is up, sir.
Okay. Mr. Cross, I did not say that Mayor Cross misused any funds. What I said was that there were accountability issues. There were times when she, when we have events, we have extensive reports that we make out what we, spent things on and so forth. So so the accountability was lacking. So and as far as documentation as to what misuse, like I said, I never say she misused anything, but if she's not giving any documentation or any accountability in terms of event reports after the fact, I wouldn't have that anyway. But we do have some, there are some emails going back and forth with just as far as the gift cards. There's an extensive email going back and forth with that. I think there might be emails I can check for you. I think this is when Ms. Barber was here. The mayor was having, and it was early on, I mean, whether she understood or not, but she had two back-to-back events. It might have been Harvest and then Polar Express, but at any rate, she had some donations and some supplies that were not used. And she took them home, and she said, and then someone, when she was asked, she said there was no place to store them, so she was storing them because she was going to bring them back. But that's not what you do, because if a government pays for something, it has to stay on the property. And so she brought them back. And so that was that. So again, I want to make it clear, I never said she misused any funds. And the other thing was the accountability of donations, because when you donate, companies donate, they'll send us a letter, saying what they donated, and we need to know where. A lot of times we couldn't get that information, and as a matter of fact, one meeting
because it wasn't donated.
Big bud.
Mr.
After,
Crouch,
after,
one second. Ms. Crouch, you can have a seat, please.
After one meeting, I think we was going with the same situation about her budget, and you and I had a conversation in the back before you left, and I was explaining to you that I was trying to explain to you, you know, the accountability for donations, and you told me that actually the donations wasn't donated to her; they were donated to you. You said they were donated to you, and then you donated to her. You said you donated to her. This is what you told me. You told me that you donated, no one else donated it to her. You donated to her. And so even with that, that is a ethics, that's a conflict of interest for you to donate. But nonetheless, again, for you to say that, I didn't know, I mean, we still didn't know where the donations came. That's what you spoke to me about. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Gray?
Hi, good evening. My name is Cynthia.
It's off. There you go.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Gray, and I live in Ward 3. I wasn't here to hear all of the reports, but I did want to make a few comments. I'll start from the police chief. I was just wondering if we could work in partnership with PG County to get more activity on Campus Way North. I always talk about it because I live on that street, so I see it firsthand. There's a lot of speeding, dangerous speeding at all times of the day. And I know that City of Glenarden doesn't necessarily patrol it, but I hope that you can work in conjunction with them to kind of spread the message over. With code enforcement, Manager Green, there's a car or two on Campus Way North that appears to be disabled by the flat tires and debris around it. If we could maybe take a look at that and make contact with the owner. And then lastly, my comment, as an active citizen for the City of Glenarden, I take very much pride in being able to attend these meetings virtually or in person. But I really want to implore that we always keep in mind of the eyes that are and ears that are listening and the impressions that we're making. And I'm specifically talking today, you know, my daughter wanted to come along, and I was very excited because I love government. But you know, maybe it wasn't the best impression, and I just want to give a little reminder that, you know, people we don't always see or hear are listening, and with people who are very highly respected and hold such high positions in our city, we should try to, you know, settle our differences in a more professional manner. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Ms. Sylvester? Sylvester, did I say that correctly?
You did.
Thank you.
Good evening. I probably got it. Good evening.
Good
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Lakia Sylvester. I'm from Ward 2. I just had a question. I see in the mayor's report that she was seeking members, or we're seeking members. I'm sorry. We seeking members to be the Board of Commissioners for the Glenarden Housing Authority, and I have sent my email. I've sent an email to Mayor Cross, my resume and an intent letter to become a commissioner at the Glenarden Housing Authority, which I've already sent to the mayor. I'm sure. Mayor, did you receive my information? Well, I'm gonna ask her that, but I feel like I would be a great asset to the Board of Commissioners, not only with the years, the 10 plus years that I've lived in Glenarden Housing Authority, but a set of resources and understandings and past situations that I've learned from and experienced that can help the residents of Glenarden Housing Authority. I feel like I can bring a lot as a Board of Commissioner to the Glenarden Housing Authority. So I'm requesting, a response because I've never received a response from me requesting and applying to be a commissioner for the Glenarden Housing Authority.
So do you want to go through all your stuff? Because your time is running, so I don't want to take...
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question, and the mayor... So can I receive an answer? I never received a response or an answer from my application that I've applied for.
Did you receive a response from the mayor?
No, I've sent my application to the mayor. Can I receive a response from the council or from the mayor? Can I receive a response of my application?
Okay, I'll let the mayor go first, and then I'll...
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Sylvester. And yes, we did receive your intent letter, which was submitted to the city council as well.
Turn your mic on.
It's on. It's green. Can you hear me? We did receive your letter of intent. It was submitted August the 19th of this year to the city council, as well as the Jordan McLong, who is the city assistant to the mayor and the city manager, was included in that email. And I also copied you in that email so that you know that I took the appropriate action to those who would have to support putting the resolution together to bring that resolution before this council board for a decision. As you know, the mayor cannot put a resolution on a discussion board. It has to come from a city council member. Okay. So with that, your information was submitted August the 19th of 2024. It was followed up on following some additional discussions that we've had relative to the board of directors there in the Glenarden Housing Authority, as well as the Glenarden Housing Authority leadership, and some of the concerns that you have posed relative to them essentially maybe, becoming a little bit more intrusive to your housing and living standards and quality of life, to include potential damaging your health. So those have all been brought up before this council in official email and stating that something was bubbling that needed to have the council's attention, and I too am waiting for a response. So those things I have communicated to you via email. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Cross.
And you can confirm if you got my emails.
Yes, I will.
Thank you for that confirmation.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So there must have been a misunderstanding on how the message gets back to you, and we could look into how that is communicated back. Unfortunately, your candidacy did not pass the threshold to warrant a resolution for numerous reasons. And so because that was the case, there was no need for a resolution because
but I would have respected at least an email explaining why. So can I receive an email explaining the decision and why the decision was made?
Yes, ma'am.
And hopefully and prayerfully it's without prejudice and judgment. Hopefully and prayerfully.
Okay.
So I would like a response of why.
Thank you. And for that reason, I do apologize because you should have gotten a response, and how that got lost, I don't know, but we can respond with the email to you because you are owed that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I think it was in transition of council clerks.
My apologies. I'll apologize for even in transition, we dropped the ball on getting that communication back to you in our transition from council clerks. So again, my apologies, and we'll get that email out to you.
Oh, it's no surprise. I have seen how this council do things. That answer was not a surprise for me. I just want to say, as a lot of judgment is being passed back and forth, even with the Muriel and the council. It's not surprising to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you just state your name and your ward, and then you have 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Anthony Powell. I live in Ward 1. How come changes in the government structure can't be placed on the ballot either in a regular election or a special election? You say you have all these meetings about the government, but a lot of those people can't attend those meetings. Because currently, I have a brother who's out, he's a city resident, but he's currently out of the city for medical reasons, and he can't attend these meetings and can't watch the stuff on TV. I'm sure there's other people who can't attend these meetings, but you took away their right to vote for mayor. I mean, how come these things can't be placed on the ballot? Whatever government structure you think we should have be placed on the ballot, either in a regular election or a special election, we vote it up, we vote it down, and just be done with it.
Yeah, I want you to go through all of them. I don't want to take up your time, sir.
I just made my statement.
Oh, so
how come these things can't be placed on the ballot?
So,
special election, regular election, we vote it up, we vote it down, and just be done with it. You say we have all these meetings about the charter changes and the changes in the government, but a lot of these people can't attend these meetings for different reasons.
Okay.
But you took away their right to vote for mayor. Currently, I have a brother who's a Glen Island resident, but he's out the city for medical reasons. So he couldn't go to these meetings, he couldn't watch it on TV, but you took away his right to vote for mayor.
Thank you. I don't want to take your time. Do you want me to respond now? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. First of all, let me say thank you because you're one of the consistent ones to come to these regularly held meetings. So I appreciate you coming out. I will say what has been answered to you every time you've asked that question is that it's not a requirement for it to be on the ballot. This was done over 2 years. It was done with transparency. Everyone was notified in the city. I understand if one person can't make it, like your brother, but that does not mean that most people in the city cannot make it. In fact, I don't. How many of those charter review committees did you make?
For various reasons, I didn't go to any.
Over 2 years.
Okay.
Over 2 years, you've been consistent to coming to these meetings. Thank you.
Okay.
And for 2 years, you did not make one of the charter review committees.
To do.
I get it. I get it.
So other people do not have other things to do.
So I understand,
Okay.
but
They can't go to
so
every
Mr. Powell,
meeting.
are you going to let me finish the answer? Thank you. So while you may have had things to do, we can't necessarily wait after 2 years for you or even somebody else who to be available on the Monday or the Thursday over the past 2 years. I mean, then we would have to extend it out another 2 years, then another 2 years. So what I will say is, I get that you don't agree, and that's fine. I respect that you do not agree. And I respect the way that you don't agree of how it was done. But it was done legally. It was done with transparency. It was done with communication. And it's up to our citizens, just like in tonight. I thank all those who are in attendance who came. Other people can come too. I don't. 1 second, Mr. Powell.
Okay.
You asked me and I'm responding. There isn't a requirement. That's not how it works. That's not the protocol and the guidelines for it to go that route. And that's not the route that it took. And more citizens didn't come out and say that, hey, I wanted that route. Which citizens had an opportunity to come out and say, hey, look, I don't want it this way. I want to place it on the ballot. And if that would have happened, we would have went that route, but it did not happen. I cannot force people to come to these meetings. I can't. We've made this available through numerous modes of communication. I don't know what more we can do.
It seems like you're holding against people who didn't go to the meetings. For various reasons, people can't make every meeting. If you're out the city, for various reasons, you can't come back just to go to the meeting. If you're in the military, overseas, they're not going to send you back to go to the meeting.
That is correct. That's correct, but you know,
put these on the ballot, they get an absentee ballot, and they can vote for the government that they want. Why is that difficult?
It's not difficult. It's also not difficult for people to come to a meeting. It's also not difficult for you to voice your opinion. It's also not difficult for, in 2 years, Mr. Powell, 2 years, I see you everywhere. You could have come to one.
Okay, I could have.
And that's fine. That's your right. Excuse me. Point of order. Point of order. Mr. Powell, look, I respect that you don't agree. That's fine. But I can hope that you can respect that this was still done in decency and order. You may want it on the ballot. It's not on the ballot, sir.
But you can put it on the ballot. There's no law saying that you can't do that.
There isn't a law.
Want to do it.
There isn't a law.
Mr. President, actually, there is a law. The state of Maryland clearly dictates how charter resolutions are supposed to be enacted. And that means that it comes before the council, is voted on, we give a public hearing for 21 days. There's no option under Maryland law to put this on the ballot. Your option is, after we vote on it, you have 40 days to bring it to referendum. So you can get your people out there and get a petition going, and in 40 days, bring that to the council with registered voters, about 900 registered voters, and then we can put it on the ballot. So you got your option is there.
Whether 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds can vote, Rockville and Greenbelt put that option on the ballot. Glenarden did not. You can put these things on the ballot.
No, you cannot put charter resolutions are mandated by the annotated code of Maryland. Maryland law dictates that, not the city council. We have to follow Maryland law. But you can go. You do have an option now to put it. You still got, maybe you got 20 days left? About 20 days left to get a referendum together, to bring it to a referendum, and we will have to put it on the ballot at the next election. So, you all over the city, take your petition and get them to sign off on it. I'm telling you, it can be done. The option's there. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. All right, so, thank you. You feel free, excuse me, Ms. Sylvester. Ms. Sylvester. If you guys want to talk, please, you can exit and you can have a conversation if you would like. All right. Ms. Smallwood.
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to piggyback off of Mr. Power. Now, I came to several of those meetings. I had bought a petition, 75 signatures from seniors that was not able to attend any of the meetings because they didn't have transportation. And also, I believe Yvonne White bought some signatures from people who could not attend meetings because they have transportation issues. And those people was denied the right to vote for the mayor because y'all didn't want to listen to what they had to say. And I spoke on their behalf for those people that they say they was opposed of the changing of the charter and that y'all was taking away their rights to vote for a mayor. So you did have citizens who wanted to participate but was not able to come out at night because they was 60, 70, and 80s and 90 years old. And they had sent signatures, and I brought those signatures to y'all when y'all first started talking about changing the charter. I brought it up several times about y'all about the changes of the charter, and voiced their opinion that even though you were saying that a council member was going to become the mayor, and last question I posed to you on their behalf was, if they didn't vote for that particular council person to be a mayor, then y'all would still take away their rights to vote for a mayor. And don't say that people did not come to the meeting, but people came to the meetings who was able to come, and those who wasn't able to come, they had a voice for them to speak for them, and I was that voice. Thank you.
Mr. President, man.
Yes, Councilman.
I just want to say this because everybody keep on talking about not having an opportunity. Now, those meetings were in person. You could have came in person because you could. I mean, we did them in Zoom. I mean, not in person. In Zoom, you could have we did them all on Zoom, and you could have called in. You didn't have to. If you didn't have a computer, you could call in. You know, you could have listened over the telephone, and so there were options for citizens to participate, as well as what they did with you. They reached out to you, and you came and you brought your concerns, and we heard the concerns. And I'm gonna tell you again, that was one of the contentions among a number of the council members up here about voting for a mayor, whether you're gonna vote for a mayor and appoint a mayor. And that actually dragged the process a little long. So it isn't like we did not hear you. We heard you because there was a lot of debate on that, and it was back and forth. And if you had logged on to the charter review committees, you would have heard that. And as a matter of fact, you can actually pull some of them up online. So I think the opportunity was there. No one came out because we did everything via Zoom. So, but the Zoom also has a call-in option. I know a lot of seniors probably can't log onto Zoom. They might not have internet, but they have a telephone, and all you have to do is call a number and put the code in, and they could have participated. But they got their voice heard, so it was heard. It's just the council made a decision what we thought was best for the direction of the community. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Crutchfield.
Yes. Good evening. I'm just a little concerned. I know you all perhaps have made your decision, but my concern is if you all appoint a mayor, I don't care if it's Jack or Jill, it will keep circulating through the council. There will be no other citizens as a mayor, and that's a great concern for me. So with that being said, the council will fire and hire people. The council will have all the say. What's the purpose of a mayor? I just need to understand that. Maybe the mayor can address, I don't care who address it, but I mean, I'm just concerned. That greatly concerns me. You can address it, council chair, someone address. What's going to happen once someone is appointed? Is it just going to keep circulating through the board? Everyone on the board get an opportunity to be the mayor? When do you get a citizen that comes in to be the mayor once the charter is changed?
Councilman Harris?
Yeah, I think everybody's missing what it is, and I think you really need to do your research. I'm sorry, on the forms of government. There's 3 types of forms of government, and right now we're at a weak mayor, strong council form of government. Then you have a strong mayor, weak council form of government, and then you have a city manager council form of government, and that's what we're moving to. Technically, the mayor's position is really a ceremonial in that form of government. The mayor really does absolutely nothing. The mayor actually is going to be a council member, and you have a mayor for, I think it was 3 situations, something to do with the National Guard, something to do with the Maryland government when they want to reach out to somebody to sign off on something dealing with the city. But other than that, the mayor will be acting as a council member and will be leading the meetings. And really, that's about it. You will have a council member. They will all be council members. They'll all make a vote. It won't be all of this back and forth. You won't have somebody that can veto a decision after the council has made it. So it's another form of government that's been very successful throughout the state. A number of jurisdictions have very prosperous jurisdictions have city manager council form of government, and I think that's what was being misunderstood here is that the mayor will not technically have, the mayor will have power of a council member, but not the power that they have like right now when you got to go get the mayor to sign off on the ordinances. You got to get them to sign off on other things. Once the council makes a decision, it's done. And then we can go ahead and move whatever we're doing into effect. Right now, we got to wait 30 days. The mayor can veto it, then we got to come back and override the veto. So I'm just saying. I mean, my thing is the form of government is. I mean, we've done this form of government for a while. I'm gonna tell you, actually, if you look at the form of government when it was originally enacted in 1939, you had 4 council members and the mayor was basically had a vote, and it was really just a 5th council member. So it isn't like we haven't done it before. It's just that we haven't done it recently, so people can actually see how it works. All right, thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, I'm just to have a little bit more time. So I am quite aware of the power of government. My sister is a council person in West Palm Beach, Florida. So I'm quite aware. But my point is, and they have the same type of government that you all are going into, which she says she hates. So that's what my concern is. We talked about it in depth because, like she said, it just keeps circulating through the council. There's no person outside of the council that will be able to become a mayor. That's just my concern.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So let me clear some things up, because as we have all seen on a national level, the massive effort of misinformation is distorting people's view of what actually is. The facts. 1, this process has gone through over 2 years. It was transparent. Ordinances or charter amendments are not necessarily done by putting it on the ballot. We have done it in order of how the state allows us to do it. All right? 2, we have seen this form of government. We've seen how it has not worked in the past, in the recent past, not the entire past, and the intent, because right now it's a weak mayor form of government, where the mayor basically at this point, whether it's Ms. Cross or the prior mayor, Mr. Estes, or anybody that comes into this position, it has no authority over the city, nothing. All this position does is may sign a veto or may sign some checks. That's it. Well, actually, can't sign checks now. Just sign the veto. That's the mayor currently is not a part of the governing body. She can't introduce any laws or resolutions. He or she cannot do anything. I don't think that is fair. Other council members do not think that it's fair. So what do? This new amendment will absorb the mayor into the council, now giving her or him the authority to vote, to propose legislation, to propose laws, to vote on those laws, to be a part of the governing body. That is what we have done. I don't, for the life of me, know why any current mayor who does not have any authority would lobby against that, of being able to be a part of the governing body. So those are the facts. This is not going to be circulated among the council members. There's still going to be elections every 4 years. Every 4 years, all members of the city of Glenarden will be able to come together to vote on the 7 elected representatives of the city. Currently, they're all at large. Well, not currently. In the next election, they will all be at large. You can vote for the 7 you want to run your city. And like it is now, for example, I'm council president. You did not elect me as council president. You elected me as a council member at large. So you elected 7, we're up here, and amongst the 7, we decided who would be the chair of the meeting. In the future, the chair of the meeting will be the mayor in title. And the mayor will have the authority to vote, to propose legislation, to enact laws with the rest of the governing body. That is more than what that position has now. And anybody who will argue that that position should stay The way it is now, I would also argue that does not know the full charter, or does not know the full job description of the mayor. So please, if you don't know what the charter reads, it's available. Come to the city. We'll provide you the charter. If you disagree, that's fine. If you want to do I'm sorry, what was that? To challenge anything, a referendum, please feel free to bring a referendum. That is your right. But the misinformation of what is going on has to stop. Nobody's taking the power away from the mayor. We're giving the mayor power. No one's taking away anybody's right to vote. Everybody still have a right to vote for the 7 elected officials in the city. The view of it looks different, but you're still voting for it. So I encourage you, madam. Thank you. The next election will be, I believe, in May 2025. Hey, if you want to be a council member, get out and, put your paperwork in to be a council member. You're welcome to do that. I've asked Mr. Powell to do that and get more involved. Any citizen can become involved. Run. If you want to see something different, run. Make your voice heard, and then get out and advocate for other people to come out too. Like I have been for 3.5 years trying to get people to come out and make their voices heard. And I'm going to get out again to get more people to run, so the representation here on this dais will look like the city which we serve. So, with that being said, Councilmember Jones.
Just a quick question to maybe the chair of the Charter Review Committee. The signatures that were said that was presented, did the Charter Review Committee receive those signatures from Ms. White or Ms. Smallwood?
Not that I know of. No.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? Citizens' comments, I'm sorry. None in-house. Miss Hunter.
Hi. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I wanted to attend in person, but I've been under the weather, so I don't want to get anyone else sick. But I wanted to thank the council members and the administration, as well as the other citizens, for coming out and speaking. I heard some mention of the sidewalk for Glenarden Parkway and Church Street. There's also an area on Echoes and Hayes Street. That it's a sidewalk that had been repaired, a portion of the sidewalk that had been repaired before. However, it has opened up again, and I don't know if it's a combination of WSSC, if it may be water running underneath of that, but it's a complete hazard. I sometimes just ride around and I look, but I'm familiar with that area, and it's actually very if someone was to fall in that area, they could possibly fracture or break their ankle. So it's the I guess it's like the 7900 7930 block of Echoes, but it's right on the end of like Hayes. If you're on Hayes Street and you're turning onto Echoes, and it is on the left-hand side, you really can't miss it. It looks like almost like a sinkhole underneath the sidewalk. I wanted to mention that. And then again, too, I wanted to piggyback off of the importance of citizens reading resolutions and reading the charter and really taking the time to familiarize ourselves with what has been voted on or what is being voted on. And so that we're informed. So when we speak, we're speaking from a stance of being informed. And again, I want to apologize to Councilman Herring for referring to you by your last name. I think it may not have been the last meeting, but one of the other meetings. It's never my intent to disrespect anyone on the council or in the position of mayor or anyone, any of the citizens or anything. So I, again, truly want to apologize for that. And I want to thank you all for all the great work that you're doing. That's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens' comments? Okay. Hearing none.
Mr. President, let me. I do want to make a statement right quick before we do close.
Okay, Councilman Herring.
Because I do want to address the issue that was said last month. Could I share my screen right quick?
Hold on a second. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to address the issue that came up last month from a citizen that came and was talking about change.org petition, and basically my name was thrown out there again, along with former council members, Carolyn Smallwood and Councilwoman Celestine Wilson. The person just put out a lot of information that was just erroneous, and it really bothers me when people don't do their research. I don't know if he got it from the petition. I don't know who did the petition, but obviously he must have read this petition and pulled this information from this petition. But one thing he said was that, me as a council member and Councilwoman Smallwood and Councilwoman Wilson failed to pass a budget, a 2021 budget. Well, when I went and put up our paperwork, here is the 2021 budget right here. I actually sponsored it, and Councilwoman Smallwood introduced it. We came as an emergency ordinance, and the person also said that we had lost $378,000 in government funding. And when you go through the budget, here it is right here in this budget right here, $378,000. So that wasn't true. So we didn't lose the money, and the budget was passed, because if you go down further to the signature page, you'll see that the budget passed with seven votes, 7 signatures, and it was signed by the mayor. So the 2021 budget was actually passed. I'm not sure where the information came from that it wasn't, and that me and Ms. Smallwood and Ms. Wilson held it up, but that was the farthest thing from the truth. Also, it was said that there was no cost of living adjustments. Actually, in this budget, we gave everybody an across-the-board 3% cost of living adjustment. If you look at each department, you will see that all salaries went up by 3% and all across the board. Normally we do 3.5, but that was during COVID, so we wanted to make sure we didn't run into any situations if there was an issue with the assessments going down. So, but we still bit the builder. We still gave a 3% cost of living adjustment across the board. So that was another untruth in that statement that was made. So, and then I think the biggest thing was that there was no hazard pay for the staff, and that they didn't get any hazard pay. And that was another untruth, because right here is a resolution that I brought forth again, to a resolution to pay hazard pay for from the coronavirus relief fund, the $378,000, if you see it right there. And again, it passed. The only person that and it passed 7-0. So, and we gave everybody down here, police, public works, and the bus driver, right here, hazard pay. And here's the hazard pay right here. We spent $79,000 on hazard pay for the employees that year. So we did pay out hazard pay. Again, when we originally passed the resolution to say we're going to give people hazard pay, here's a resolution where we say we want to give people hazard pay. At that point, and that was before the previous resolution, You see, the only person that did not want to give them hazard pay was Councilwoman Jones, and Ms. Easton abstained from the vote. So, and to say all of that, I mean, I'm just saying that, people need to be very, very careful when they signing off on petitions that what somebody's putting in front of you is actually accurate. And just to confirm the hazard pay, because I want to make sure that nobody come back and say, well, they didn't get hazard pay. Here's an email from our treasurer where he sends it to the council and the city manager saying, I contacted ADP on Saturday regarding the process of doing a special pay for hazard pay. They informed me that the transaction would not be processed until Monday. The hazard pay for police officers, public works, and Carla bus driver was processed by finance department this morning, and the checks will be delivered tomorrow. So again, I'm not just asking citizens, be very, very leery about what somebody put in front of you to sign, because again, you're going to be signing something that's going to get you in a lot of trouble. Again, we have not. I mean, everything that the person mentioned last week was a complete fabrication. I'm like, maybe he got it from the petition. Unfortunately, he may not have did his research. I'm not sure. I don't know where it came from. I don't know anything about the petition because I haven't seen it. I don't know who signed it, and I just want, and the people who did sign it just need to be very, very leery about what they're gonna put their signature on, because again, like I said, this is everything that was said was completely inaccurate and not true. So I just wanted to put that out there. I wanted to clear that up. Again, it seemed like it's a constant thing about attacking, Ms. Smallwood and Ms. Wilson, and I'm not understanding that, because those two ladies volunteer for everything that goes on in the city of Glenarden. Even when they had tragedy in their families, they still came to events. They still helped out at events. Ms. Wilson does the centerpieces for all our events. She never charges us. She charges us just for the materials alone, and they volunteer to help out with a lot of programs and a lot of things that we do to make the event successful. So again, I really, really wish people would be very conscious of what they're putting out there, because there's always a piece of paper that's going to prove you wrong. And these piece of papers here prove this person completely, or prove that petition, because I'm not going to say the person because I don't know where he got it from. I don't know who did it. Prove that petition completely inaccurate with everything that was in it. And I just wanted to get that and clear that up. Thank you, Mr. President. Oh, one other thing before we do adjourn. We are having our Thanksgiving luncheon on Saturday. All the tickets are gone, so, they went really quick. But if anybody is not using their tickets, please let me know, because we do have people who still want to come. Because, I know some people get 4 tickets and then they don't use them, or somebody may drop out. So if you do have extra tickets that you're not going to use, if you can call, I think Michelle Cheek, and she can, and you can turn them back into her at least by Wednesday or Thursday, and that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah. But again, it's gonna be a great time. We got a special treat. Our code enforcement officer, Ms. Tamika Jones, is actually a classically trained pianist, and she's going to be actually playing the piano. We rented a baby grand, so she'll be playing through the whole event. So it should be really nice. Again, if you have any extra tickets, please come out. Mayor, there's 4 tickets for you. If you want them, let us know. And Councilwoman Fareed hasn't picked up hers yet. So if Councilwoman Fareed, if you got yours, if you want yours, let me know. We have those. All right, thank you. You better.
Thank you.
I'm getting ready to start again.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Herring. I'll also know, on a more somber note, former Councilwoman Deborah Eason's homegoing service will be on Thursday at the First Baptist Church of Glenarden. The viewing will be at 10 a.m. and the services will start at 11 a.m. It is the location on Bright Street Road. She served this city with honor for 3 terms, and we want to thank her for her service. And if you would like to, go and pay your respects, please do so. We'll be flying our flags at half staff on Thursday as well, in remembrance of former Councilwoman Deborah Easton.
Mr. President, are we also posting it on social media and the marquee?
Can we? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The time is 10:19. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.